Okay, guys. So welcome to our presentation about vape. It's kind of ironic. I'm sitting on the porch of a school and church from the 1800s. Think about the people in that time period, guys. Think about the people who used to come to this building. You know, they probably had to cut their own wood so they could boil water. They probably had to go draw the water out of the creek. You know, they had to harvest their food, and they depended on community to get a lot of these tasks done. Life wasn't easy back then. And think about how they got through it and how we got to a place where we can, in 2020, come to our house, you know, drive our nice vehicle to a house that has electricity, that has air conditioning. You know, we can go to the refrigerator and get whatever food out of there. Look at the luxuries we have of today. And look at where we came from, places like this. And you know what? When we go back in time and we look at these types of places and we look at the people, they didn't have hardly any of the problems we have today. You know, I'm talking to you right now in school, and a lot of you are dealing with anxiety and different problems, different pain that you're experiencing in your body, you know. Those people back then didn't have any of that. It's just interesting to me that we're so dependent on substances in this day and age to get us through the day. I've got to have this vape to get through today because I just can't handle what's going on in my life and what's going on in our world right now. You know, I've got to have this drink. I've got to take this pill. We're so dependent on all of these substances, and we've got the best life we could ever dream of if we just tune into the positive places. If we isolate the problems that we're feeling inside and address those things head on and don't stop until we get it solved, and then take the next one out and address it and solve it, and we focus on the future and the positive things, and we fill ourselves with positive role models, we wouldn't have half the issues we have today. Look at this building and think of the people who started here. Okay, so in a few moments, we're going to go to the lab and we're going to dispel some of the myths, I dare say lies about vaping. And just a second ago, I talked for a moment about the inside pain, the things going on inside the body that we don't maybe realize are even there. You know, I think you come to vaping, I think you come to drugs, I think you come to substances for one of two reasons. One, it's peer pressure. It's trying to fit in. It's trying to be cool. You know, it's the curiosity of this thing. Or two, it is someone gives you something and you've got something going on inside. And when you take the substance, no matter what it is, it makes that go away. And I'm here to tell you that no matter how you start, that is going to be the driving force of why you're doing this thing. And the reason why I say that is when you have something going on inside, maybe you know it's there, maybe you don't. But when you take the substance and it makes that go away, the body goes, I dig that. I need more of that. And you're going to want more. And so as you continue to do that, the body becomes accustomed to operating on that substance. And when the body doesn't have it, the body's going to revolt. And that's going to be the withdrawals, the increased anxiety. And then you can't do anything but think about when can you get another one of these things or take another hit of this thing. And now you're dependent. I dare say addicted to the problem. It's not going to end well, guys. So I want you to dig deep and I want you to address what's going on inside of here and find positive places to tune into. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not be okay. Those are some quotes we heard from Michael Phelps some time ago. I want you to really dig deep and understand your body and fill your time with positive role models, guys. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into this vape stuff. Yeah, the vape juices and what's in them. Why is vaping bad? You know, in the old days, we speculated that vaping may be bad for us, but we really didn't have any science to back that up. And unfortunately, the other side of the fence would say that vaping is perfectly safe. It's safer than smoking. It's water vapor. It's all these things. But let's unpack that for just a second. So we know that vaping oils contain all kinds of different chemicals, and vegetable glycerin and propylene glycol and all these different things. So think about a chemical. It's one thing when it's in this environment, but when I add it to another and I combine these two chemicals, I make yet another chemical, right? So now let's take that a step further. What happens when I take two chemicals and then I heat them to roughly 400 degrees? I've turned them into yet another thing, yeah? So now let's back up. These chemicals are one thing when they're in a food product, right? But what happens when I inhale it? When I heat it, combine it with things, and I inhale it. If it's in a food product, I'm ingesting it. It's going through my digestive system. It's not intended to go through my respiratory system. When I vape the same product, yeah, and I heat it, I'm continually changing it. And then I'm inhaling it into my respiratory system, and nothing other than oxygen is supposed to be there. What do you think that's going to do to you? Well, fast forward to 2019, or beginning of 2020, we have seen exactly what that's doing. We've had kids drop like flies around this country, unfortunately. And now we have the science to back up why is it bad and what is it doing. So when we look at heating chemicals, combining chemicals, and putting them into our lungs, that's a bad recipe. All right, so a second ago we were talking about water vapor. Well, now we've got a little example of what that actually looks like. And I want you to think about what that's doing. The water's boiling, it's turning into steam, and it's dissipating and going away, yeah? One more thing about water vapor before I get onto aerosols. Do you really want moisture in your lungs? Even if it was water vapor that you were inhaling, do you think that's going to be a good thing for your lungs? I don't think it's going to have a good outcome for you. I think it's called pneumonia also. So let's go back to talking about an aerosol. Look at the pictures here of a water vapor cloud versus an aerosol being sprayed. And look at the similarities. And the reason why they're similar is because they are. It's an aerosol that you're exhaling. It's not water vapor. If you go to the manufacturers of these vaping utensils, they will tell you, and actually own it, that it's an aerosol that you're exhaling. So when I have an aerosol, let's think of one of these sprays. If I spray this aerosol, it's going to collect on what it's sprayed on, right? Well, think about if I'm inhaling an aerosol. Not all of it's going to be exhaled. Some of it's going to stay and collect. That's probably not going to be a good outcome for my lungs. And you want to know why people are having problems? Because we're inhaling all these things into our lungs and it's not going away. And it's causing inflammation and a lot of other things. So check this out. Here's an aerosol. There's your lungs. You really want that going on inside your lungs? What do you think that's going to do? When you have all of these chemicals that are being inhaled and some of it staying in your lungs, I don't think that's a very good outcome. It's also interesting when you look at the warning on this aerosol, it tells you that it's okay to eat, to ingest this, but it's absolutely could be fatal if you inhale it. You know, the vape manufacturers would like to tell you that a lot of the products, a lot of the chemicals they use are in food products, and that is true. But when I eat it, it's going through my digestive system. When I inhale it, it's going through my respiratory system in a place it was never, ever intended. I want you to think about some of this next time you think of vape as a safe alternative to smoking. So guys, just a second ago, we were in the lab and we did a few little science experiments and we talked about the aerosols and it not being water vapor and different things, right? So singling out aerosols, you saw how that collected on the cardboard. Well, think about that collecting in your lungs. You're inhaling an aerosol. Not all of it's going to be exhaled. Some of it's going to stay in your body, in your lungs, in a place that was intended for nothing other than oxygen. That's not going to have a good outcome for you. Your body is going to react because it has a foreign object in the lungs that it's not supposed to have. It's going to help cause the inflammation that's going to lead to other respiratory distresses in your body, and that is the short order of what's going on with these problems with vaping. Another thing, we're heating these chemicals to roughly 400 degrees with a metal element. As that metal element heats and cools, it's wearing out. And at some point, it's going to need to be replaced. Well, where do you think the particles from that metal element went? They went into your lungs because you're inhaling that. That's yet another foreign substance in your body that your body's going to react to, and it's not going to take too kindly to having embedded into the lungs. You want to know why some of these people are having problems with vaping? Look at what we're doing to our body, guys. Back to the chemicals. If it's a singular chemical, we study it and we determine is it good or bad for our lungs, right? Well, then we combine it with another chemical. Now we've created another bond of chemicals. What is that doing? And then we're heating it to 400 degrees. What is that doing? Do you think the vaping community is truly studying all of this? I suspect not, because I think in short order we would find out that it's doing adverse things to our body. Okay, guys, so we've been talking a lot about this vaping and what it's doing to the body, but I want you to really know this. You're coming to it probably for one of two reasons, and it's any substance. So, right now we're talking about vaping, but we could just as easily be talking about alcohol or any number of things. You come to it because you're curious. It's maybe peer pressure. You're trying to fit in. You want to be cool. You want to be with those guys, right? And so you try this thing, and maybe that's how you get started or initiated, yeah? Or you've got something going on inside and you don't really know how to deal with it. And you think that going to a substance is going to fix the problem, it's going to solve it. I can assure you, no matter how you get started, the end result's probably going to be the same. And that is, the body is going to become more and more accustomed to this thing the more you do it. And in the short term, I'm not going to lie to you, it may temporarily give you some relief from something that you're dealing with. But I can assure you of this, your body's going to become accustomed to it and it's going to require more and more. And when it doesn't have it, it's going to crave it. Your body's going to revolt. And then your entire day is going to be consumed with, when can I take another hit of this vape? When can I get another one of these things? When can I take another one of these? When can I drink another glass of whatever it is, guys? Your body is going to become dependent. And it's going to be completely out of your control. And you think you're solving a problem when in reality, you're making the problem worse. I want you to know that, because every addict who's ever walked this planet has started the same way. They've either started by saying, I'm just going to try this once. I'm never going to do that. It makes this pain go away. That's why I want it. And in reality, it makes the pain worse. It's the same lie every addict's ever told themselves. And I don't want you to fall for the same lie. I want you to love yourself. I want you to respect yourself. And know this, if there's something going on in your life, isolate that thing. Find out who your assets are and ask for that help. And don't you stop chipping away at that until you get it fixed. And if this guy can't solve your problem, then go to the next one. And you keep searching until you get the help you need. Don't turn to a substance, guys, because it's not the win you're looking for.